The usually busy road network in Tegina, Niger State is almost bare. Residents that move around do so only because they must. Others now prefer to stay indoors. It's been 21 days since the abduction of 136 students from this Islamic school, and the escape of some brought a glimmer of hope. However, a reminder that the vast number of those still in captivity quickly overshadows the joy. This is what has brought the state governor, Abubakar Bello, to meet with parents of the abducted students at the palace of the Emir of Kagara, where he assures them of the safe return of their children. He also wants them to work with the government for a speedy end to the matter.
Everyone should come out and cooperate with the security agencies as well as the government.
The chant of enthusiasm. These men, picked from various security agencies, are mandated to comb the forests in search of kidnappers and to rescue the students.
With the number of vigilantes that are here to support the police and the military, I'm hoping we're able to guard and protect most of the schools. We can't fold our arms anymore. We are determined to take necessary steps to deal decisively, using whatever means to apprehend those are involved.
Their motivation for the task ahead: the safe return of their children. Governor Bello lifts the spirits of the men even further.
You have made us proud. You have made Nigerian police and civil defense proud. You have made Nigeria and Nigerians proud.
Some parents are not in agreement with the plan by the state government, fearing backlash from the kidnappers. But at this point, this seems to be the only option, which authorities believe may just bring the needed results and return the children to their homes.
With the recent school abductions we've seen across northwestern states particularly, it has again maybe shone a spotlight on the work of security agencies in rescuing these students and ensuring security across the nation. And we're talking from the military to the police to other paramilitary organizations in the country. And today we'll be speaking with Mr. Abu Adams, as you may have seen, who is a former Assistant Director, Internal Security, SSS. He joins us virtually on the program this morning. It's great to have you, Mr. Adams. Now, yesterday, we also saw governors from the Northwest region meeting with President Buhari. We had the governor of Kebbi, Zamfara, and Niger. And one trend you may have heard in their statements is the fact that they commended security agencies for the work they're doing, saying they're doing a great job. And, for me, I just thought we should start from this note. First, how hard is it as a security operative or security agency to operate in the current terrain we have in Nigeria? Just maybe we don't appreciate them enough. So let's begin from that point. How hard is it?
Good morning, presenter. I think, if I hear you well, you are talking about the issue of the insecurity in schools and abducted school children vis-a-vis the general security of our institutions.
Well, that's on a general note, but particularly now, I'm focusing on the role of security agencies. And I referenced the governors of Northwest states meeting with the president yesterday, and they all commended security agencies for the great work they're doing. I just thought we should start on that note. If you could give us a sense of just how hard is it for a security operative to do their job, or do his or her job in the current terrain of Nigeria today?
Well, thank you very much. The fact is that it is very difficult for security agencies, as it were, to cover the whole of Nigeria's terrain. It's difficult because in the present dispensation across the world, security is heavily backed up by latest technology, which we don't have that level in this country. If you look at the application of technology so far, it is based on the presence of service providers. If you are hearing me.
Yes, please go ahead.
We don't have this partial intelligence equipment that you can help us to pinpoint specific places where you have bandits, where you have terrorists, and for security agencies to move in. If you look at most of our operations, they are mostly reacting to incidences. I know several times anyway we have been able to take the war to their places, but they are mostly reacting, and it's because we don't have our what we call ISR, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, backed up by latest technology, has not been very effective, and so that is why we find it difficult to be everywhere. Secondly, if you look at the population of the various security agencies, from the statistics we had last, the army about 150. The police about maybe over 300 to between 300 to 400, and other security agencies down the line. I think that is for that. But notwithstanding that, I think, in my opinion, security agencies, in view of their capacity, their resources, and motivation, I think they are doing the best under the circumstances. But let me say that if we are talking about our higher institutions, our educational institutions.
Just one moment, Mr. Adams, before you go to the... Just one moment, Mr. Adams. Just one moment, Mr. Adams, before you go to the schools. You mentioned the other time that we don't have those technology technologically advanced equipment that our security personnel need to do their jobs, and you have also talked about the numerical strength. I'm curious, and I think many people will be concerned, worried even, that with all of the resources deployed over the years, of course, we can't even begin to mention the number of the figures that have been thrown out as to the quantum of resources that have been deployed for security operatives, for security equipment and all of that, coupled with the intervention of state governments all across the country. So the question on my mind right now is, and you'd also remember that there was an attempt to even ask questions around how we have spent our security budgets over the years to at least try to justify the spending, because it would seem like we're spending money, we're not getting results, and then see what else needs to be added. So I'm wondering, is it the absence of the technology that we do not have? Is it the absence of the technology, or the fact that we don't even have the latest one? What exactly, in your opinion, is the problem?
Thank you very much. You talked about the resources, massive resources that have been deployed, particularly from the federal government. But you have always heard of the various accusations of either misapplication of funds or outright looting of funds over the years that were supposed to be committed to this cause. Don't forget that that is a major setback, and government has several times, especially the present government, that most of the equipment they had placed orders are yet to come, because these are not the kind of equipment that we buy from off the shelf. I think, but the important thing is, have we always had the will to be futuristic in our requirement for security and intelligence infrastructure? We discovered that it was when this crisis started that we began to think of ordering equipment and things like that. But if you look at nations like Egypt and some other countries, even in Africa, they try to walk ahead of what they have. So now we are in great deficit of those requirements, both personnel. If you look at the police, for instance, over the years there has still been agitation between the office of the IG, the Police Service Commission, to recruit personnel. And on a daily basis, the force is being depleted by retirement, by killings, and so on and so forth. And we need to act fast and take prompt decisions. Let there be a systematic and organized recruitment, like by other agencies, like the Army does. All the time, they hardly obliterate any of their recruitment exercise. That is fine, but it should be at a larger scale now that we look at, because we have so much of security challenges across the country. But let me also say this, that the level we have come, it is a thing that all of us, if we take the schools, for instance, ever since the Chibok girls, there have been no systematic arrangement to respond to attacks. If you take boarding schools, for instance, in a state, why is it difficult for each boarding school to synergize with their private security, their internal security, the police, the army, to have a response team standing by always in nearby area, that each time they have a challenge, they should be able to call upon them. How do you feel when over 200 students, within 2 hours, bandits come there, operate, and take them away, and there's no instant response? I think we should
Adams, there's something that you
across the country.
Yeah, you mentioned a couple of things now, and I'm just wondering how we can prioritize. Now, in one breath, you've spoken about paucity of equipment on the one hand, and the fact that those equipment are usually not up to date by the time they arrive for our use.
Yes.
And in the same breath, you've spoken about the inadequacy of personnel
Yes.
and the challenges we've been having with recruitment and all of that.
Yes. Yes.
From your experience as a former director at the SSS, if you were to advise priority, personnel or equipment, which one would you advise that we prioritize now, at least to keep the schools safe?
Thank you very much. If I am in position to act now, this is exactly what I'm going to do. Now, immediately I will resolve the presidency should immediately resolve the issue of recruitment between the IG's office and the Police Service Commission. And let there be a recruitment into the police every 6 months. In this, as some are passing out, a new set is coming in. That is number one. Number two, right now, because of the challenges that we have, active retirees in the various services, particularly the army, the police, who are some people who retire, yes, but they are still very active, should be called in to increase our capacity. And then, if you take of our general insecurity, there should be mobilization, adequate. We have talked about police, community policing. How many of them are very active? Every community now in this country should organize their youth, bring them to, in collaboration with security agencies, just like the president commended extensively the success of civilian JTF in Borno State. Such group should be active now across the country in aid of security agencies, of course, under their supervision. It's not that they will go out solo and begin to do their thing. And this is possible. It's not as if it's not possible. And when it comes to logistics, whatever logistics we are placing orders now, we should be thinking of what we are going to use in the next 10 years and begin to require for them in the various markets and among our various international customers and supporters. Not until we wait, there will be a new dimension to a crime and we'll begin to shout, how are we going to go about it? That's exactly what I'll do.
Well, Mr. Adams, given your background, whatever happens to, because it appears as though it's glossed over whenever it's mentioned, perhaps not given the kind of attention it requires. Some may think it may be insignificant. It is such that the questions as to security agencies or our internal mechanisms here, do we need to introspect in terms of the security agencies double-checking themselves, because allegations here and there against them, how seriously do you think we should consider those as well?
Thank you very much. In the kind of massive security operations across the country, you cannot afford not to have excesses of some individuals. But let me say that what should be done, I give you a typical example of an officer, a video that was currently going around. I want to say that such a situation should not just be looked at from the punitive aspect. The case should be investigated by the authority and let the investigating team be multidisciplinary, even including the civilians, so that they can profile solutions. If you look at another incident that happened, I think somewhere in the southeast, where a policeman was said to have gone off, of course, I'm happy the case is being investigated. But you cannot afford not to have such. But the important thing is that in each case, it should be promptly investigated and the solutions found into it. And I also am aware, if you take the police, they have the expert, and so also, even in the Department of State Services, you cannot just do anything and get away with it. That I am very sure. It's one of the organizations that whatever operation you are doing, you are looking back at what are the legal implications of any excess. And so I want to urge other agencies to intensify that. But the public should not use that against the services and begin to castigate them. Others might be put in fear. And the situation we have now, we need every courage that we can muster for us to get over our security challenges.
What would you consider, because now we see governors resorting to recruiting vigilantes, arming them. That's a vote of no confidence on the normal security architecture, some might add. What would you consider as the biggest challenge that we need to address such that things can pull together to address the challenges we're faced today?
Okay, I think the major challenge that we have now is, from my experience, is that there is a major spread of the bandits, the terrorists that are being attacked, especially in the northwest, northeast, and then part of the southeast. And so every community now must be at large to work with security agencies. Areas that you think before now have been quiet, you might not know that these guys, having been, pushed out of their comfort zone, will be moving to those areas. And that is the more reason why Nigerians must arise, organize yourselves, the various hunter groups, the various community leaders, youth organizations, in areas that you think are quiet, to identify these guys and let the security officers, officers move in for in national operation.
Do you agree with those who think that politicization of security is part of the big challenge that we face today?
Can you come in again? I didn't hear that well.
Do you agree with those who think that we have politicized security and their functions, and that is a big challenge today?
That security what?
Has been politicized.
Have been
politicized. Can you hear me?
Have been stressed.
Oh dear, I think the network is. Can you still hear me though?
The network is bad. I can't hear you well now.
All right. Okay, well, we'll see how we can do. But let's give it one more try and see if it is any better, because sometimes, yeah, it can fluctuate. I was asking if you share or subscribe to the school of thought for those who think that there is a huge politicization of security and as such is affecting the functions and how some perceive the functions of security agencies.
If I hear you, you are talking about politicization of security agencies.
Yeah.
I think I don't see any kind of politicization at that level. But what I want to say is that, particularly at the state government level, they should ensure that directives, because most of their complaint is that they are not in charge of the police, of security agencies. I think the issue they have always had with security agencies is that when the heads of these security agencies discover that they might want to use them against political opponents, they decide they will decline such orders. But it's not as if they see a real security breach and governors or local government chairman call them to intervene, they will not. I think the earlier the politicians put their political interests aside and look at the national interest when it comes to utilization of security agencies in achieving appropriate security at all levels. So we must learn to leave security agencies to do their job. We must learn to cooperate with them. And we must learn to put our individual political interests aside when we want to engage our security operatives to carry out any assignment.
Okay, so Mr. Abu, we've had over 800 students kidnapped since December last year. And since 2014, about 600 schools have closed as a result of fears of insecurity and kidnappings. I mean, ever since we had Chibok. And sadly, we seem to be seeing that trend. So that's where we began from, this, school kidnappings. Do we have any excuse, really, to see another school kidnap happen in Nigeria?
Another what?
Another school kidnap happen in Nigeria.
Oh, my God.
Okay.
Please still repeat it.
Okay, let me try this one more time. I was asking if there's really any excuse with the spate of school kidnappings we've seen in recent times. Is there any excuse again to have another kidnap happen on our watch?
Oh my God! I'm still very sorry. I can't hear you.
Well, I'm sorry as well. I really wish you could hear me, but I guess we'll just end this conversation for now at this point. I'd like to thank you so much, Mr. Abu Adams, for at least making this network fluctuation work so far. Thank you so much for your time on the program.